So how do I calculate it is, I know this is network bits, host bits, sorry, network bits. The last one is host bits, right? How many host bits I have is 8 host bits I have. Now I got another network, same setup. I got another network which is 2.0. But a particular branch, 500 computers. So I cannot give this network. I need bigger network. I cannot give this network. I want bigger network, correct? Then what I will do, I will just borrow only one bit. So how I'm going to increase this? I'm going to write down 1.0. So in this case, what will happen? How it actually look like is, this is not NN. It goes like this: 192.168.0001.0000.0000/23 I put. Now first 8 bits is network bits, 8 bits is network bits, 16 bits, right? Then this is also NNN. Because 23, right? This is 23, correct? The last one is H. So what I did is I borrowed left side 1 bit. I increased the number of host bits. What I did now? Now what will happen if I do like this, right? What will happen is, what I did is I actually took two networks, these two networks, I combined it and I made one network. Now if you want to check this, how do you check this? There is a tool, right? IP subnet calculator. You can calculate, use that. If you open this IP subnet calculator, now just type this here, okay? What is the IP address I put? 192.168.23, correct? Right? So now you'll get the network address, broadcast address, valid host address range. That range you'll get 510 usable host. Understood? So what is the range you understood now? So basically what I'm doing is I am actually merging two networks and I'm creating a one bigger network. Understood? Because I have borrowed left side. If I borrow right side, what will happen? For example, what is subnetting? Subnetting is same thing, but I am going to borrow in the, I'll make it smaller networks, correct? I'm going to break into one into smaller. For example, I will do the same exercise here. Like this is 24 now, I'll make it 1 bit. So it will be now 20. What is number of hosts? 2 power n minus 2. N is 7, right? If I check this now, how that network will look like, you can do that same here. This is this tool 192.168.1.0 and I have used /25, right? 2 networks I got. I break 1 into 2 networks. Understood? I broke 1 into 2 networks. That is subnetting. Same thing I reverse I did. I brought 2 networks into one bigger network. That is supernetting. Reverse. Okay. Understood? Yeah. Both can be possible, like how you borrow the bits. That's all. These both are borrowed. They both are having same size of number of hosts. 128. These two networks, the first network, second network, right? Both are having how many hosts? Each network is having 126. If it is /24, I will get what is the host? Number of hosts is 254, right? 254 hosts. Correct now? This is one network. If I have one network, now I'm going to break this into 2 networks. Then what is my? I'm borrowing 1 bit. 192.168 1.0/25. Then I'll get 2 networks, same size of number of hosts. Number of hosts, how much? So in this net subnet, you can have 126 computers. This have 136. This is called. Now there's another method I can do. If the company demands, that is VLSM. VLSM means I am going to break this same option, but in different size of subnets, not same size. Now I have divided into one network into. The first network will have same 126, second will have 62 hosts, third will have 14 hosts, but all subnets are not in the same size.
For VLSM
what will happen sometimes in the company, right? You will have different types of project. One project will have 100 computers, one project will have only 5 computers. The purpose of subnetting is to avoid the wastage of IP address. Okay, why we do subnetting? One project is having 100 computers, one project is having so if I give /25, I'll be giving him 126 addresses. But that project is having only 5 computers, 5 addresses he wants. So you are wasting now. 120 addresses you are wasting, right? Now I will teach you what is DNA Center. Now we have the lab available, right? And this is the link and this is the password. I'll share you this with you. Okay, it's free. This is the lab I've opened now. Okay. Cloud lab. Okay, it is available now. I've opened it. It is working. The username password I shared in the space in the chat. Now let's teach you this. What is this? Okay. Now what is happening in the In the past, we call it as traditional networking and software defined networking, SDN. What is traditional networking is, if you take a device, right? For example, you take a router, these two routers are there. How you log into the router? See this diagram, no? So there is a laptop. From the laptop, I will take a cable, this cable, physical cable, and I connect to the one port. That port is console port.
Right.
Then you configure the router. This is one method. Another method is from the PC, you connect to the switch. From switch, you connect to the router. Through that, you can do telnet SSH. This we will do. It's a new router. Existing router means I can use as I told you, you can take a cable, console cable, and connect to the console port and login. That is one method. Another method is if you configure the router, telnet or SSH, you can ping this interface, gigabit. This is pingable means PC1 telnet or SSH access, but you need to configure the telnet or SSH. PC, we will give the command telnet like that. Okay? But in the router, we need to configure. If nothing is configured, new router, you cannot do telnet SSH. Okay? And there is a port here, USB port. From the USB port, another method is you can directly ping this interface. For example, this is 10.2, for example, or 10.1. Okay. Now what you do? Go to the PC CMD and type telnet. Then you ask the username password. Give the username password. Like yesterday, I was logging, right? In packet tracer, I was logging and showing you, right?
Yeah.
Through telnet. Other one is called out of band management. What is that? OOB. OOB means there are two types of management. One is what I told you, inline. Inline means the same interface which you are sending data, right? The data is going, PC is sending data to PC2, right? The data, the same interface. You can do the management also. You can log in and manage the router also. Understand?
Right.
But there is a dedicated port only for managing the devices. Understand? Log in and managing the device, console port. So you can use that port and log in and configure the router. The two ways we can configure the devices. Understand this?
Yeah.
First of all, this is clear, right?
Yeah.
Now, every device, router or any device, traditionally will have three planes. Management plane. What I explained to you, management plane. Three planes. What are the planes I told you? Okay. Now, what is mean by this three planes? These planes are nothing but every device will have these three planes. Data plane is nothing but PC to PC communication. In data plane, what router will do? Whatever data is sending, right? That will happen in which plane? Like PC1 is sending data to PC2, it will go through data plane. Now, after you configure, like OSPF, you configure, okay? Now, OSPF is sending some data, receiving some data, right? We studied, no? Routing protocols.
Yeah, I am forgot.
So, if you configure any routing protocol or any protocol, it will start communicating, talking to each other, right? So, that time, the router to router, they are communicating, not PC to PC, right? Router to router, they are sending and receiving data, correct? So, that traffic is called the control plane traffic. Administrator is logging to the device and for configuring the device, right? Admin to router. So that why admin is going to router? For configuring, managing the device, correct? That plane is called what? PC to data जा रहा है ना? वो communication को, वो traffic को हम बोलेंगे data plane. एक बार हमने configure कर दिया router आमने सामने वो बात कर रहा है, PC को नहीं आएगा data. router उनको भेजेगा, router 2 फिर router उनको कुछ data भेजेगा. वो communication है ना, वो traffic है ना, router to router traffic. उसको हम बोलेंगे कंट्रोल प्लेन। अभी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर लॉगिन कर रहा है, लॉगिन करके कुछ कॉन्फ़िगर करने के लिए लॉगिन कर रहा है, वो कम्युनिकेशन है ना, वो ट्रैफिक, उसको हम बोलेंगे मैनेजमेंट प्लेन ट्रैफिक।
उसका ट्रैफिक राउटर पे ही जाएगा क्या?
सभी तीनों राउटर में हो रहा है, तीनों प्लेन राउटर में है। एवरी डिवाइस विल हैव 3 प्लेन्स। मैनेज डेटा प्लेन, वो डिफरेंस क्या है ना, पीसी टू पीसी कम्युनिकेशन को हम बोलेंगे डेटा प्लेन कम्युनिकेशन, राउटर टू राउटर को कम्युनिकेशन हम बोलेंगे कंट्रोल प्लेन कम्युनिकेशन। और एडमिन लॉगिन कर रहे हैं ना, इनलाइन और आउट ऑफ बैंड, व्हाट एवर मेथड लॉगिन करके कॉन्फ़िगर कर रहे हैं ना, उसको हम बोलेंगे मैनेजमेंट प्लेन। ओके, ये ट्रेडिशनल नेटवर्किंग है। इन ट्रेडिशनल नेटवर्किंग all 3 planes are in the route devices. Management plane will be in centralized. For example, अभी इस example पे लीजिए, nowadays I'm telling, okay, nowadays what is happening, there is no, so routers will have only what plane? Router can do only when PC1 is sending data to PC2, right? Router will forward. Okay. But now if you want to configure the router, or if you want to tell what traffic to go between router to router, right? You will not log into router. So you will log into a box called a controller. Now if you say, no, I want SDN, means they will give you the devices SDN supported, SDN enabled. 99% everybody is SDN devices. So SDN enabled only we are using now. So what will happen in SDN controller is this SDN controller is centrally it will be there in one location. For example, a head office in Delhi, all over India, you have branch offices. Now, all over the world, all over the India, you may have hundreds or thousands of devices. All the devices are connected, controlled by one central device. That is called controller.
Yeah. So can you help me out to in the lab? Is it possible to showcase in the lab? I don't want any
We are going to do that. No, we are going to do that.
Acha,
So
one
now
more question.
I
So
will
if-
log into this. Yeah, tell me.
So if SDN is a controller, if we are using as a device to control all these devices, right? So if
Configuration, everything. Yeah.
so what if do we need to have a redundancy for this as well?
See, whenever you are doing anything in life, okay, especially in networking, right, you must have redundancy, even starting from cable also.
Sure.
Okay, you cannot say that I will not have redundancy for cable, I will have redundancy for router, any device, PC, right? But the limitation, physical redundancy, or you want a backup, and once it fails, right, you can then put new one and bring it up. But redundancy is mandatory for any device. But the recommendation is 3 controllers. But as I told you, in a smaller company, we don't go for 3 controllers. Even one also we have children. The issue is when the controller fails, right? These routers will not go dumb. They will run, but you cannot configure any new configuration. So आप login कर सकता है, login को configure नहीं कर सकता, but वो चलेगा. But there are some devices, even that is also possible. Even it fails, you can manually login कर उसको SDN mode से normal mode लेकर आ सकता है.
समझा
SDN mode से आप फिर आप traditional mode लेकर आकर फिर आप manually configure भी कर सकते हैं. Cisco will not give you just like you say like controller fail हो गया, कंपनी डाउन हो गया, ऐसा नहीं होगा. ये चलेगा, बट अभी मुझे कॉन्फ़िगर करना है तो कुछ कॉन्फ़िगर करना है तो उसको फिर आप मैनुअल में नॉर्मल मोड भी लेकर आ सकते हैं एसडीएन मोड से. बट व्हाट दे रिकमेंड इज थ्री कंट्रोलर्स यू पुट एज अ बैकअप. ओके, प्राइमरी सेकेंडरी लाइक दैट. वी क्रिएट ए क्लस्टर, वी कॉल क्लस्टर विल क्रिएट एंड वैसे हम डिजाइन करेंगे. Now this controller you have to log in, right? Now think like this, you have 100 switches, like for example in your enterprise network, right? 2 WLC, right? Something like this. Okay, this is your enterprise network there. What you can do, you can log into the devices and you can manually manage each and every device. You can log in through telnet or console, right? You can use telnet or console, right? Traditional way. Nowadays what we do, we just log in through GUI. All these devices will be available in the central location. Okay, I don't need to SSH individually everything. Controller will do SSH to R1, R2, whichever device you want. That is controller's job, SSH or RDP, whatever you want. Okay, that he will do it. Not you are going to click. Your job is just to click. Just go to the controller, click. One of the controller, now what we are going to study is Cisco. So what is this controller will do? What is the use of? Okay, now I understand controller is why I need to create a controller. Now I have a controller like this. What is the use? What is the benefit? Do you understand the question?
Yeah. Centralized you can manage all the
centrally you can manage is okay. Yeah. The benefit is, I will tell you the benefit now. Okay. Now, for example, you want to configure 100 switches, 20 VAPs, and 10 routers and 2 wireless access, multiple things. Enterprise में whatever network devices. What you can do, you can write a script. Within minutes, the whole devices will be configured. Or I want to change something in all the devices, just you don't need to log in and configure each and everything. Understand? Like the script is JSON scripts. JSON means basically Java scripts. Okay, you can write scripts actually. Python, you know, right? Python. Python is one of the language. Python scripts or JSON, whatever language you want, he can understand. Controller can understand Python, JSON, like any scripts. Okay. So what will happen? These scripts, if you run and upload the scripts in the controller, within a minutes, the whole configuration will be done. Understand? Or you can log in and take CLA and you can configure also. That is also possible. Now there are 2 options here. Okay. Now automation is possible. Automation means if something goes wrong, you can tell the controller, if this is going wrong, right, you automatically change to this link. Automatically do this activity, right? Understand? And you can program everything. It's not like manually every time you have to configure. Just create a program, just upload the that script on that, then according to your programmability, the devices will start working, configured and working. Understand? For example, you want to daily want to see what is the utilization of the devices, right? You can program like this, the controller. Every day, night or morning, every day morning, compile the one week, that full day's CPU and memory utilization, prepare a report and send it to me. Okay. Then you generate a report and give it to you. And you can do, even if anything goes wrong also, right? It will go to the device and tell you exactly why this is wrong and what is the recommended solution also it will give. So this controller is having AI algorithm. It can learn the devices. It can learn the network, self-learning. So controller will learn your network. When you type 2-3 commands and give show commands, it will capture the data and start analyzing the data, and it will give you the recommendations also. I think this is the problem with access list. Can you change? This is the best. This is the statement you have to add. It will give that statement also, command syntax also. This controller, every technology has their own controller. Companies having, like Aruba, if you go, they will have their controller. But basically, they are all SDN controllers. Even Cisco is having multiple SDN controllers. Okay, Cisco is having multiple SDN controllers for different types of networks. So, for example, if you go for WAN, they will be having one controller. So many controllers are available. But the idea is same. The idea is instead of going individually one machine and configuring is old technique, old networking. Nowadays, everything is centralized, and you can log into the device controller and configure the devices, or you can do automation programmability also through the controllers. Okay, this controller, if you see, this is the way. First, you have to design the controller, configure the policies. Provision is something we are going to add the devices. Okay. So what all things you can add in this? See here. Now in this you see, right, you have added the switches. How many switches they added? Now I want to go to the switch. I click this switch. It is opening the switch and showing the details of the switch. Wireless controllers, security devices, VPN devices, or IPS IDS. Sensors are nothing but IPS IDS. Okay.